So I want to see this better quality.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So several months ago, I made a video about Arc Raiders, the upcoming PvEVP extraction shooter from Embark, the same studio who brought you the Finals, a competitive first-person shooter that's actually doing quite well. Now, at the time, we were able to share our thoughts on the game, but unfortunately, we were actually unable to show you any directly captured footage. Instead, we were provided B-roll from the developer for use in our coverage, which is almost always a shame because for the most part any B-roll provided doesn't really do a great job of showcasing the game in action or being played like a typical gamer would. Usually it's a lot of slow walking, taking in the environment, showing off points of interest, stuff like that, which I get it. The devs are proud of their work, of what they've made, and I will say they should be of how this game looks in particular, because Arc Raiders is a gorgeous looking game visually, so I'm not too surprised when they want to show it off with canned B-roll. But again, the problem with canned B-roll is you don't really get a good feel of what it actually looks like while a real person is playing the game, right? And the other concern that people have with canned B-roll for these sort of videos is that they're trying to hide the fact that the game's got issues like performance issues or bugs, which I will say in Arc Raiders instance, when I played it last fall, we didn't have any issues. So I was actually thoroughly surprised as to why they were just doing the videos with B-roll. But anyways, all of that changes as of today, because in addition to the preview that I played back in November, just this past week I got another opportunity to check out the game, playing for a few afternoons, seeing some new stuff that they added, and getting quite a few good matches in. And as such, today I actually have some good gameplay footage to show you. Yay, I'm thrilled, honestly thrilled. All right, and speaking of which, I will say right at the top here that I have been pretty impressed with this game. If you enjoy the extraction genre, this does seem like it's going to potentially be another good one of those. It does a lot of things quite well. Movement and gunplay both feel fantastic. It's got an interesting setting and world, great sound design, which is very important for this genre and done particularly well here. And as mentioned, it is just one hell of a looker. The animations, the textures, the lighting, the atmosphere, all of it. This is a pretty looking game, and it also has seemed quite polished as well as running well for me to boot. Now, if you don't like extraction PvEVP shooters, none of that stuff will probably matter. But if you do, yes, this is looking like a good one. I'm going to save my tangent about the fact that this changed from a looter shooter when it was initially announced a few years back into...
Hold on, what are the specs for that? Okay, you just getting 130 frames, and I guarantee you he probably has a better rig than me. Let's see what we can...
How was your day?
Oh, so they don't have the specs yet.
To an extraction shooter, because I am still a little personally just frustrated. It's whatever. I like extraction shooters too, and this is looking like a good extraction shooter, so we're going to talk about it. So today I'm going to be giving you a basic overview of Arc Raiders, going over what the game is, what you do in it, sharing some of my early thoughts, and yes, finally actually getting to show you some real honest to goodness gameplay. Before diving into all of that though, we do have a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by War Robots, an online third-person 6v6 PvP shooter where dozens of war robots and hundreds of weapon combinations are used to compete in intense clan battles. This is an entirely new game in the War Robots franchise, built by a new development team from the ground up for PC and console platforms. Some key features include you've got the ability to build your own fighter with tons of robots, each with unique design, strengths, and weaknesses. There are a lot of different play styles supported, whether you want to be aggressive and focus on hunting down other players, or supportive, bolstering your team's offensive and defensive capabilities. You can customize things, selecting what weapons and modules you'd like. The game supports group play with the aforementioned 6 vs 6. You can join a clan of regular people you like playing with, or if you prefer playing solo as I do, they've got 3 different game modes across 4 different maps for you to enjoy. So War Robots originally launched earlier this year and is now getting its second major update with Season 1 Act 2 Smuggler's Run. There's a brand new battle pass with loads of stuff to earn. You got the new Scorpion War Robot, the new Tusk shotgun weapon, Gamma Beam cycle gear, homing missile cycle gear, brand new wraps, decals, paints, and more. If you are interested and would like to learn more, you can check out War Robots for yourself. Be sure to use the link in the video description below and collect some free rewards. Okay, so let's start things out with a basic overview. Arc Raiders, as mentioned, it is an extraction shooter, but what exactly does that entail? Well, all of the core fundamentals will be familiar to you if you have played pretty much any extraction game in your history. You start off dropping in with a beginning set of weapons and consumables, spawning at some random point on the outskirts of your chosen map. From there, you'll want to just start exploring, walking around the environment, visiting different points of interest, all while scavenging for loot. That is what you were there for. You're there to pick up and leave with loot, so you want to be looking for loot. Now, all of the areas on each map are individually marked. It's going to tell you, actually, when you mouse over, say, a particular structure, it's going to say, hey, what sort of items are you going to find here? What is the danger level? What can you expect in this location? Now, in that process, you will also be fighting enemies. There is the PvE side of things, which comes in the form of various types of ground and air robots and drones. Quite a large diversity of here, doing all sorts of different things. But then, of course, you also have the constant threat of other players who are also in your lobby and will, without fail, shoot before asking questions. At least that has been the case in my experience, both on the giving and the receiving side of that equation, just saying. And yes, as is the case with many extraction games, it is true here as well that audio plays a massively important role. It's just one of those games where every single thing that you do will make a distinct sound. Every action, every movement, opening containers, attacking, of course, even just swapping weapons, all of it has particular sound effects associated with it, and as you play, you're going to learn what each of those sound means. And what it basically does is it just lets you keep track of what nearby players are doing, because either you'll be hiding from them or preparing to ambush them. That's the thing. You listen for the sounds. It's essentially 3D vision, but audio, right? You're using your auditory senses, and you're picking up on exactly what players are doing as you learn what these sounds are as you continue to progress. Like literally going from standing to crouching makes a particular sound. Swapping weapons makes a particular sound. Of course, shooting will make sounds. Bandaging makes a particular sound. All of it. And you learn that, and that tells you what players are doing as long as you're able to pay attention. And those sounds aren't overwritten by the sound of gunfire or the sound of the robots and drones going off all crazy, which they will do quite a lot. There's also various types of events and hazards to help spice up the action in runs. And ultimately, yes, you're trying to stay alive, you're trying to collect loot, and you're trying to extract with said loot, taking anything with you that you collected. And if you do so successfully, you will then be able to store any loot and currency that you have in your stash, then crafting some upgrades to make you stronger for the next run, advancing some larger account-wide progression systems, of which there are a few, and then re-equipping yourself, loading back up with consumables, making...
I don't know how I feel about aesthetic. I get like it's supposed to be like kind of like apocalyptic rock. I get where they're going with it, but I don't know if I really like it. Like, I don't mind third persons shooters at all. I played a shit Vision 2, and Souls like third person Remnant. Play Remnant 2. I like third person games, but the aesthetic, just I don't know how I feel about that. Let me know in the comments how you feel about it.
ensure you got enough ammo and going in once again. And that is the basic core gameplay loop of Arc Raiders, just like a lot of extraction games. But here's a few more detailed specifics. First, let's talk about the different maps and points of interest. So the game currently features 3 separate playable maps, each one of them in a unique location with distinct environments and handcrafted points of interest within them. The first map is the Dam. This is like a swampy region. It's got like lakes and rivers, and then of course at its centerpiece, a massive dam running right through the middle. Beyond the dam itself, you got a lot of auxiliary buildings. There's some research domes dotting the landscape as well, but just big, buildings associated with the dam and the supporting of said dam. The map Spaceport, in terms of its terrain, it consists of some rolling hills and fields. It's got a huge space shuttle launching tower right in the middle, and then along with that is some like massive manufacturing and maintenance buildings in support of the launching tower. And then finally there is the buried city. This is a abandoned city in the desert that's been partially buried by sand. Much of it has been buried by sand. It has many of the expected city structures, things like a train station, there's a residential district, you got the library, town hall, and even a hospital. Now, all of the maps, I will say, are fairly decently sized. I think the buried city is the smallest of it, but it's like small and compact with a lot more verticality, and just everything's kind of jam-packed into a tighter square footage. And as mentioned, they're all rather unique from each other. There's lots of big multi-level buildings in every map. They make great use of vertical space across the board, with there being a multitude of ways as well to approach any situation due to that vertical space. Whether you're trying to get an angle on another team, or hide from a massive robot, or just get into and out of a building that you're looking for loot in, there's a lot of agency in terms of moving around these spaces. Many entrances and exits at various levels. The game even has a zip line in it that you can set up wherever you want, which helps play into the moving through this highly vertical environment. Now, beyond the basic terrain as well as random structures, each map, as mentioned, also contains several distinct named points of interest. These will all be associated with the map's theming and location. They can also be highlighted as you have your map pulled up, and this is going to tell you basic details about the area. For example, it'll say what category of a building is it. So whether that's going to be raider, tech, mechanical, industrial, etc. Each of these categories coincide with specific types of resources and items that you're going to find there, and those resources and items you're farming to craft things as well as to fuel the out-of-game progression systems. It's also going to tell you the current arc presence on any of those points of interest, and this will be rated from low to medium up to high. These are color-coded as well, and it all just translates to how many arc PvE enemies are in the area. The higher the presence, the more numerous and deadly of enemy types you're going to encounter. These named points of interest also play into the game's questing system, as you're going to be tasked with heading to specific locations, retrieving some sort of an item, or finding a particular type of loot and bringing it back to the out-of-game NPCs. And then some of the bigger points of interest are also going to have these specialty locked rooms, where if you happen to acquire the key card for said room, it's going to let you get in and you are rewarded with some rare loot and typically some nice weapons in there as well. There's also quite a few dynamic events. These will happen on all of the maps, things to keep an eye out for. So you got regular occurring events like the drop pods falling from the sky. You're going to see these coming in. They make a lot of noise, and then when they drop to the ground, you can go break them open essentially. However, doing so takes forever and also makes quite a lot of noise. But if you manage to get into it successfully and loot it, you get some high rarity resources in there that are very valuable. There's also a lot of environmental noise generating things on all of the maps. Like you got groups of birds that if you fly too close to, they're going to flock away. That makes some noise. You got security cameras that if they spot you, they're going to set off an alarm. That makes some noise, of course. And all of these things are just ways of alerting other players to your presence. So it's things you're going to want to try to avoid setting off yourself. But if you see them set off, head towards it because there's some players over there. And then, of course, you've got the weather, and this actually plays a pretty big role as well. Some days it's going to be clear, some days it'll be overcast, but other times you're going to have these rainstorms, and this is it really impacts the gameplay. It goes all the way to like thunderstorm level. There's also day-night cycle in the game, and all of this has pretty drastic implications on visibility along with audio clarity. Like if you're in torrential downpours and a thunderstorm happening, you can't hear anything outside, basically. You're only going to be able to start picking up on audio clues once you get inside. And I think that's just a nice way of them mixing up the formula and changing things from run to run. And then, of course, lastly, being an extraction game, every map it has extraction points. These are in set locations. Several of these are on every single map. You pull up your map, they will be marked. It's going to have a countdown timer as well that tells you how much longer you...
Wait, isn't one of the maps or something on like in a desert or something? Let me know if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know too much about this game, but it'd be really cool if you had like sandstorms that pass through, because I just imagine like maybe you're stuck somewhere or you want to move to a different area and a sandstorm comes through and you can be like, hey, let's move with the sandstorm, and that'd be really cool.
have before that extraction area closes. And there are two main kinds. You've got the group extraction points. These are things like metro stations or elevators, but there are also solo extractions via these hatches, although the big difference there is that you actually need to use a consumable key in order to solo extract, but the group extracts can be done by anyone at any time. It just takes some time for the thing to get either the elevator to come up or the metro to arrive at the station, and it's also noisy as well. Other players will know what's happening, whereas the solo extractions, if you have a key, you can just walk there, get in the hatch, go down, and you're all set. Now, outside of the static nature of the maps themselves that are then further mixed up with some of these dynamic events, the day-night cycle and the weather, you've also got these global events that can take place where they will take an existing map and put just a overarching layer of changes onto it. So for one example, they've got these things called night raids where it's literally set in the middle of the night, pretty pitch black, and really changes the atmosphere, makes it harder to see enemies as well that are off in the distance.
Okay, I
And
think
then
this is
there's
the map
also
I was thinking
a
of.
global event called the Harvester, where a massive spider robot is protecting a point of interest. And as you would expect, inside that point of interest is some very, very valuable loot. So everyone in the lobby wants to get there. The problem is there's a massive mech spider in the way, and they are very, very, very hard to deal with. So again, just ways to mix it up. And I'm glad they're bringing some of this stuff, which was undoubtedly part of the game when it was a PvE focused looter shooter. It's nice to see them rolling it back into this extraction game, because man, I would have loved to. I just so would have loved the looter shooter, but it's extraction.
Okay, so was it originally supposed to be a PvE looter shooter? Because I think I heard somebody told him that that wasn't their focus from the beginning. Their focus from the beginning was to be an extraction shooter, but that, I don't know. That's not what I heard. I don't know.
And I like extraction too.
know.
Okay, let's talk about the enemies. Speaking of the PvE side of things, the PvE enemies in this game are called Ark, and they're definitely one of the highlights here. There's a fairly large variety of different robots and drones. You got tiny spiders that can cling to your face, basically locking you down for a moment. You got these small
like
balls,
some aliens?
different variations. Some of them will roll up to you, open up for a second, and then shoot a stream of flames in your face. There's other ones that spin up and charge at you at high speed, leaving a trail of flames behind them. And then you got the medium-sized mecha spiders. They come with all sorts of different varieties. There are melee ones that will perform lunging attacks. There are ones that basically just have these massive artillery turrets on them, and they just unload on you. It's really crazy. And then there's a ton of different flying drone variations, each with their own function. You got ones that have assault rifles, ones that have tasers, will lock you down, ones that shoot rocket launchers. And then probably the biggest threat of all is the alarm drones. These kind of move around fairly nimbly, scanning the ground, and if they spot a player, they're going to summon in attack drones to that location. But on top of that, they have a large alarm that makes a crap ton of noise, and that's going to tell players in the area, there's another person over here, you should head on over. And even setting aside the fact that this is a full-on PvP loot driven game, the PvE arc enemies alone are quite dangerous. Like even just the tiny spiders clinging to your face can be a problem, because if there's another robot in the area, while the spiders got you CC'd for a few seconds until you pull it off, the other robot can just be continuously attacking you. And then you've got the big spiders and the security drones, both of which will make your life a nightmare. But really beyond that, there's just the simple fact that anytime you fight any arc enemies, any of the PvE, you're making a lot of noise. Your guns make a lot of noise. They make a lot of beeping and booping, as well as their guns make a lot of noise. And all of this will alert other players that you are engaged with the PvE. And it gets to the point where basically whenever you have a PvE fight, there is going to be a PvP fight following shortly after. You can count on it. In fact, anytime in all of our time that we've played this game, anytime we have fought any of the arc bots, the PvE, for more than a handful of seconds, another team would roll up less than a minute later. A fact that, mind you could take advantage of yourself. You could make some noise, dispatch of the PvE enemies, or just hide from them. Use that noise as a lure to get other players to come to that area and then ambush them. All sorts of potential here. Now, as for the PvP, it's pretty straightforward stuff. Other players are on the map with you. I don't exactly know the lobby size. I want to say it's somewhere between 15-ish to 20 players. It might be a little lower than that. I'm really not sure. I think it might depend on the map as well, but there's enough people that you're going to bump into them. You will be hearing them off in the distance pretty regularly. Other players moving around the map, for all the reasons mentioned before, you will know when they're nearby, be it from them triggering an alarm, dealing with some arc dark enemies, or just creating the unavoidable noise that is made by simply moving through the environment, short of camping in a corner and not so much as even swapping your weapons, you are going to hear other players nearby. It's just going to happen. And yes, it is for sure a kind of shoot first, ask questions later kind of a game. You are unlikely to be making friends in your lobbies, although there is proximity chat, so it's possible, but definitely I would not count on it. I will say as well, gunplay feels...
Look at there, proximity chat. Now, it'd be funny if they had a solo mode too.
Feels great. This applies to both the PvE and PvP. Just wanted to make the note, like, they managed to make shooting feel pretty impactful, which is pretty hard for a third-person shooter, honestly. Just now I'm thinking about the shooting in Dune and how much worse it feels in comparison. I still like Dune because I'm not playing Dune for the shooting necessarily. Anyways, there's a down but not out mechanic here, which gives you a chance to be revived if you're playing with other people. If you do die, though, it's traditional extraction game hardcore in the sense that you drop absolutely everything with the exception of the 1 or 2 items you've got tucked away in your safe pocket. There's progression systems in the game as well, so between rounds you're going to have access to your inventory, vendors, crafting, and various forms of account progression. There are multiple trader NPCs in the game. These include security, the gun shop, the grenade shop, and the medical bay, and they sell you basically a host of everything that you need, from basic materials, solo hatch keys, ammo, weapons, attachments. You got grenades, binoculars, zip lines, healing stims, armor, other stuff. They also give quests. Each of the NPCs are going to have their own quest chains asking you to do different things. And then you've got progression through the workshop. So you've got, first of all, this little rooster called Scrappy, and in between matches he will periodically bring you basic materials. This is essentially your, if you keep on dying run after run, this is how you get the resources to keep on going again and again. They also have a free mode where you go in without a loadout and you're going to be given a random weapon and some consumables. And then it's also here at the workshop that you set up workbenches, and you've got the different workbenches for all of the game's items and consumables and your ability to craft them. Then you've got the character skill tree with 3 different trees to pick between: conditioning, mobility, and survival. And these give you various
Not a big fan of that.
enhancements, making it so that you use less stamina when you run,
Hopefully
better
you get
healing,
skins.
better listening, better dodging, better movement through the environment, faster movement through the environment, all that stuff. Now let's move on to the early feedback. I've played a couple of sessions of this game so far, first in the fall and then most recently last week. Let's talk about what I think. Starting with the pros: gameplay, feel, and polish. It's phenomenal. Moving around the environment, shooting, the whole thing feels really good. I've been really impressed. It's just it feels good to play this game. Not much else to say other than that. Also, as I've already said, and you have likely seen yourself in the footage here, the visuals in this game are jaw-dropping, honestly, is how I put it. This game just looks phenomenal. I said this in the past, but it definitely bears repeating. On many occasions, I found myself like pausing just to look around. I was that impressed with how good the lighting and environments were, and that's in a PvP game. I don't do that very often in a PvP game, but man, this game it looks really great. Performance has been awesome for me as well. It ran pretty flawlessly, perfectly smooth frame rates. I think I had a consistent 120 FPS the entire time I played. That goes a long way for me, with the caveat, of course, that I do have a pretty high-end machine, so keep that in mind. Sound.
There you go. He said he has a high-end machine, so all I have is a 3080 Ti, and most likely, if I ever do get a chance to play the game, I'm going to be streaming, so that's going to impact you. Let's see what happens, okay?
Sound is also very good. All of the audio, whoever the audio engineer is in this for this studio, they did a bang up job, because this is some great sounding audio, which is important for an extraction game, so I'm glad they took the time and got this right. It's also got some unique twist on the extraction genre, with like that constant robot threat, the fact that they have persistent maps with players coming in and out, and some of their dynamic events, how big of an impact the weather system has. All that stuff is pretty neat. And lastly, I love the setting. Like, the game is heavily inspired by popular sci-fi from the 70s. You can kind of see that in the character design, the outfits, even the color palette that they use, the theming, the music. I like it. A little bit different than what I'm used to. Now on to the cons. For starters, inventory space. A lot of games have this issue, but it seems especially problematic in survival and extraction games, and I would say that's the case here. It's just not a lot of fun constantly juggling with your inventory and managing your inventory. I wish we could come up with an extraction game formula that still did all that stuff well, but didn't make it such a hassle to deal with your inventory constantly. Also, as a con, I guess, and not really because it's just what the game is, but I'm going to put this out there for people. It is, yes, a hardcore PvP focused extraction game yet again. And I enjoy this genre. Like, I like playing these games, but it's definitely a gamble. Any multiplayer game like this really relies heavily on having a decent sized.
Right here, he's solo. So I wonder if he hopped in like and have like a code. Probably gonna be like trios or something. But can you just opt in solo, or they're gonna have a solo mode? And he's by himself right now.
Healthy player base for it to stay alive. And as a result, well, you've seen it over the past several years. We've seen quite a few extraction games come and then go despite actually being decent, which then leads me to my second con, the fact that Arc Raiders is no longer a looter shooter as it was initially intended to be. I know, I just can't let it go. This will be the last time I talk about it though, I promise. Yes, because back in 2021 when the game was revealed, it was at the time said to be a PvE looter shooter. It was supposed to be in the vein of things like Division, Warframe, or even Destiny, if you want to throw that in there. And to be honest, as much as I do like it as an extraction game, because I think this is a solid extraction game, it looks good, it plays well, it feels good to play, they've got some cool ideas and systems in here, I'm still a bit disappointed that it's not the looter shooter that it was initially intended to be. And that disappointment is only reinforced with how damn good the PvE is in this game. With all of the varied and interesting enemy types, I would have loved to see what they had in the works as a looter shooter, because that also seemed like it would have been really good. But alas, I'm gonna drop it. If I cover Arc Raiders again in the future, I won't be complaining.
Why can't we just have both? I'm not keep pausing it, but why can't we have both? Like a distraction. Imagine, hear me out. Hear me out. I know it'd be a pain in the ass. You know, what if we had a game like Destiny, right? With that PvP setting, right? But the PvP was like distraction. To be mostly going with extraction, because I have to say, like, extraction shooters aren't that big. They're not big like BRs or regular like arena shooters, pack shooters, or anything like that, because people do not like losing their gear like that. You know? A lot of people just don't like that. They just find it stupid. Me personally, I'm kind of enjoying it now. This is the thrill, the rush of it. It's like, oh my god, okay, I'm gonna put this gear on. Gotta get out with some more loot. I get more money. And it's like, fuck, damn it, I lost everything. That was happened to me last night. But I want to go back in. I'm like, okay, next time, do it again. Try to get more money and everything. It can be fun, but a lot of people into that. I think it'd be like genius. Have like, hey, you can go and play this side of the game, which is E only. You can get loot from here, and you know, want to, you can play this PvP with that distraction shooter, and you can go in there with the gear you got in PvE. Yes, will you lose it? Probably. Guess what? You can just go back to the PvE and farm it again, or take your chance and keep playing the extraction mode and try to get that gear back, or try to get other people. Maybe that they will have to kind of work out the systems and everything, like, and like keep farming the same. Like, I just lost this weapon, I can just go back here and farm it again. You know, maybe like um random rolls. Like Destiny already has random rolls. I think random rolls would be pretty good, because you can like, okay, yes, I found my god roll. Okay, like perfect. Go here. Oh fuck, I lost it. Well, Destiny, whatever, like whatever game, whatever developer. Well, you're gonna keep me on the game longer because I know I can go back and PvE farm it, but it's RNG, so it's chance I'm gonna get the same role I got. So no, it keeps everybody involved, and you're still gonna have the people who just like the PvE. Gonna stay over there, and you're gonna have people who like the PvE stay over there. But there are gonna be some crossovers, crossover, and I think that's where the real innovation is. You know, like this coming out with an extraction shooter. I don't think that's it. Okay, if you're trying to get big numbers and a lot of people involved in everything, I don't think that's the way to go.
About this again, I promise. I just, man. Oh, anyways. But beyond that, I mean, I don't really have much in the way of feedback. I've only played for a handful of days in totality between last fall and then this past week. I would really need to play a bit more if I wanted to drill down on any more fine-tune feedback and cons, because yeah, for the most part, it's pretty good, and it's an extraction shooter, so it is what it is. If you like extraction shooters, this seems like a pretty good one of those. And I also like third person, so there you go. And with that, that pretty much does it for our preview of Arc Raiders. As I said, I think as extraction games go, this is quite competent. It looks great, it plays well, it's got a unique setting, and it seems to have as good a chance as any other extraction game has of surviving. And I want to let you know that they do have a technical test starting this week on April 30th. It's going to be running for about 5 days, I believe, available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. So if you're even vaguely interested, here's a great chance to try it before it comes out. I'll be curious to see how well the game is received. Probably gonna jump in and play a bit more myself this week, so yeah, maybe I'll see you out there. But that is all for today.
Okay, pretty good. I like the video. I'm still like, I don't mind extraction shooters. Like I said before, I've been kind of enjoying them. The big thing with me is the aesthetic of it. I get it's like trying to be like the 90 kind of setting, kind of like, I don't know how I feel about it, but I'll give it a try. I'm gonna give it a try. I signed up, so go sign up. And if you want, go give him a like, subscribe to him. I already know he has like a million followers, bigger than me. So most likely you already seen this video or anything. Yeah, leave me a like too if you want, and or dislike, whatever you want to do. Subscribe, ring that bell for more videos. And ladies and gentlemen, like I always say, have a good day or night whenever you're watching this. Peace.